All right, everybody, I got the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Andy Dane Carter. And if you don't have his book on investing, you need to get it. And let me just give you the quick backstory. Grab the book so you can show that to them. But guys, I think it was 2 summits ago, Andy, yeah, when we were actually live. Yep, there was. So I'm looking down the Tom Ferry summit list, and I'm like, okay, which breakout sessions am I going to go to? And then I'm looking, there's one, and it says, create generational wealth, Andy Dane Carter. And I'm like, who's that guy? But I was like, I love that title. I'm going. I go in there. This handsome devil is up on stage. He gives this really incredible presentation. I probably told you this, but like I actually kind of got teared up in one moment because of your presentation was so strong and so compelling about the power and the value and the impact that real estate and real estate investing can make in the people's lives, and how we as real estate agents have a obligation to help our community to create wealth, not just get them into a house, but to create wealth and to support and to help people in that process. So it was very moving. It wasn't just how to make more money and how to, create wealth, right? It was actually how to create impact and how to make a difference with your community and with the tools that we have as real estate agents. So that's it. That was amazing. Now, it was funny. We ran in backstage and we had lunch together at the Success Summit. It was great. And I got to ask, Andy a ton more questions, got the book, dug in. And he's also a rock star in building your personal brand and how to expand the brand. So today, let's dive into 2 things. Number 1, agents, how do we level up your real estate investing savviness? And then B, how do we expand the brand? So Andy, anything else that I'm missing in my intro, brother? And you're in Long Beach and you've got a real estate team there. So he's doing residential real estate sales and crushing real estate investments. So anything else that I missed? And then let's get this party started.
Perfect, brother. No, thank you so much, Patrick, for having me on. I love to help people, very similar to Patrick. It's a massive, massive passion of mine. That's why I love, the whole entire tribe through the Tom Ferry system and ecosystem. I'm here to help. So, and a huge thing that I love to tell people from stage, and people who I just meet, I talk to a lot of agents. It's we have so much more value that we can bring our clients than just like using your phone to pop a super box, walk them around and answer a few questions, help them sign some contracts and close a deal and then never talk to them again. Those days are long, long over. And there's such an incredible opportunity for you to really add a lot of passion and purpose and impact to your business, which then spills out over into how you can create wealth for your family, but also become that like strategic local expert advisor, which really changed the way people look at you. And a lot of that starts with the 6 inches between your ears. Some of the biggest frustrations that I have with agents is their mindset is locked in, what do you mean, Andy? I'm just supposed to sell. I'm just a salesperson. Like, I tell people, you are an investor first. You're an investor for your family. You're an investor for yourself. You're an investor for your future. And when you start to look at yourself as such, you really change how you're going to advise your clients. I go to war with my clients. I don't care if you're an investor of mine, if we're doing some huge bills, syndicating deals across the country with big apartments, or if you're trying to list your house for 10 million and it's going to sell for 8, we have hard conversations because I am your trusted advisor and you are paying for my knowledge. You don't have to take it, but I'm going to give it to you. So there's a lot of different things that we're going to cover. I'm going to try to hit them kind of systematically so you can take these tools and implement them quickly. But a lot of it has to do with the conversation you have around yourself and your business in the morning. When you start telling yourself, I'm an investor first, you look at your business a little bit differently. So for me, I specialize in the 2, 3, and 4 unit space. I have for a long time for a lot of reasons. The biggest one is most regular real estate, residential real estate professionals either are afraid of duplexes, triplexes, and fourplexes for whatever reason, because it has a couple more things and meters and gas meters and things you have to learn. But it's the same from a financial perspective. It's the same kind of loan to do a condo, a townhouse, a single family residence, duplex, triplex, or fourplex. It's residential financing. And then like 5 units or more is commercial. It completely changes the game. It's apples and oranges. So if you're a residential agent, it behooves you to really understand the 2, 3, and 4 unit market for the stuff that Patrick and I will cover today, which is how you continuously add value to your clients and give you a reason to call back your sphere. For an example, you sell somebody a home, right? 3 bedroom, 2 bath, it's their dream home, they love it. Maybe they have a couple kids. You start talking to them and you start posting on social media about the value of owning income property and the value of changing your family's course in investing. Sometimes you'll get the most incredible deal and you'll list it instead of buying it for yourself. Or you'll bring it to an investor like me so I can buy it. Don't do that. If it's a good deal, figure out a way to try to take it down yourself, because when you're creating wealth, it's a slow walking process, because you want to get wealthy for sure. When you go quickly is when you can make some mistakes. So for me, it's having these real estate professionals really understand the value of a duplex, triplex, and fourplex. And the goal is always to live for free. So if you're a young agent and you don't own anything yet, I tell everybody, don't buy a house first. Do not buy a house first. Don't buy a condo. And I hammer this into people.
Yeah, so hold on, what, right there, listen, Andy, I was like so pissed off after your presentation when I was like, why didn't anyone explain this stuff to me when I was a moron in my 20s and a slight, not as moronic in my 30s, but I was still kind of dumb. But I just wish someone would have explained to me, Patrick, here's what you're going to do, right? Why didn't anyone sit me down and say, Patrick, here's your options. Here's the best things that I would recommend. Do you want to build some long-term wealth with real estate? There's this thing called real estate. You can make money. You can live for free. You can own. Don't do this. Do this before you get married. Do this before you get kids. Do this before you get down the road. No one told me this until I sat in your presentation. I was like, man, I'm pissed off. I was actually really pissed that no realtor, no one told me that I could do these things. So just so you know, Andy, I've been hammering all my friends, all my agents that are younger. I'm like, Andy, this is a classic. I have a young rock star agent, Eric Lambert, big shout out, okay, crushing it. He was about to buy this townhome for like $800,000 I'm like, what are you doing? Absolutely not. He has no kids. I said, stop. I told him literally to break escrow. Done. He then, 2-3 months later, he finds a killer property with a detached garage. That property has the right tax basis, which is super low. He can rent that sucker out. He's going to convert the 2-car garage into an ADU. This property is going to be a cash cow forever. And I was like, thank you, Eric, for thinking like an investor first, as you said. And while you are still young and married, only no kids, play the game. And I just got to, Eric needs to give you props, Andy, because you hammered that into me and I pushed it onto him. But guys, this is what Andy's talking about. So I'm going to shut up, but that was so beautiful. Already impact. This kid's going to be set forever because of this move, right?
100%. That is the first chess move. If you see the chessboard and everybody's pieces are on each side, your first move out needs to be that. That will set up the way for you to get kinged later on in life and win, because there's so many secrets and so many hacks. I love house hacking. The biggest thing is, again, it's residential financing. But there's times I'm on a ton of podcasts and a ton of shows, and people ask me all the time, if you could go back to your 20s, what is something you change? And it's the same story over and over again. I would have bought the duplex in Sunset Beach for 280,000 for a duplex in Sunset Beach. I'm now 43 years old. That property just sold for 1.7 million. I would have had $1 million piggy bank to do whatever I wanted with later in life. And I would still keep it. It had been fully paid off by now. And I'd have this cash cow by the beach. And it doesn't matter where you're at. If you're in Cleveland, Ohio, and the duplexes are $45,000 and you're paying $500 a month rent to live in a duplex, the mortgage is only $400. You're going to live for free and cash flow $100 a month. Right. So thinking outside the box, and real estate professionals, my friends, doing this for yourself is so huge. You can do FHA 3.5% financing and live there yourself and live for free. And hey, the buy side commission is 2.5%. It costs you 1% to do it. On a $700,000 duplex, you got to come up with $7,000. If you can't put a plan together to save $7,000 in 5 years, you shouldn't be in the industry anyways.
Yes.
But being able to be that, like,
no, listen, I just need to let that, because Andy, and again, I'm so pissed off too at my family, my Ferry family, for not doing that same thing with me, maybe in Newport Beach, get the duplex, the fourplex, back 25 years ago or 20 years ago, or in Costa Mesa if we wanted to be cheap about it. And I'd be, the same story exists. So that, my friends. Now, there's one thing that I want to say, Andy, about that point, by the way, is I get a lot of agents who are like, young agents. Oh, all my friends, they're not ready to buy. I'm 25, I'm 30, none of them want to buy. So they like avoid their sphere. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Help your young sphere friends figure out what the first moves are and get them on track to create long-term wealth a la carte thanks to you. This strategy is so important to this young group of people who have the best financing history and want flexibility as well, right? Like, hey, maybe I don't want to stay here in San Diego and I bought this duplex. Well, now, or fourplex or whatever, it's fine. If you want to move to Austin, you can, and you could still own the property and still create cash flow, and it's totally fine. So the flexibility and the finance makes perfect sense for all these young people today. It gives them all of the options that they want and sets them on the right path. So it just doesn't even, and again, until you brought that to my attention, I didn't even understand it really. And now I'm like, what are we doing? This is unbelievable.
There's so many options, and I help a lot of people that are in their 20s, and I've got so many case studies on this whole thing. It's how you frame it to your sphere. So if you're young, you're in your 20s, you're in your 30s, and that's your biggest pushback. My friends are not ready to buy. They're not ready to buy because they haven't been provided the right frame yet. If you haven't read the book, Pitch, I think it's Pitch Anything. It's a great book. It talks about framing and pre-framing. I pre-frame my friends all the time. I pre-frame my wife. I pre-frame my kids. It's part of my world. So you need to be the local strategic expert, even when it comes to your friends and family, because they don't have information. I help a lot of millennials, especially because they weren't ready to buy. If you're paying $2,000 or $3,000 a month rent and you sit down across from me, within 6 hours of letting everything I said sink in, you're sending me properties for us to go look at. Here's a perfect example. You have an e-commerce business. You like to trade stocks. You're into Bitcoin. You love to travel. You're a travel influencer. You're a whatever your friends do, and they give you every cockamamie story. I don't know where I'm going to be. I'm a free spirit, all this other stuff. That's all great. When you're living for free, you can do all of that stuff.
Yep.
You don't have to work. You want to take a year off, cool. Your 3 other tenants are covering the whole mortgage, taxes, and expenses. And here's the other secret. To your point, if you want to leave San Diego and go to somewhere, you want to go to Manhattan, you want to go to Austin for a job, now your unit that you live in becomes cash flow for you to offset where you're going to go in Austin. So if your unit would rent out for $2,000 a month and those 3 units are already covering 100% of the mortgage. That 2,000 now becomes income because you're going to rent out your unit. So now you're technically living for free even in Austin if you can find a place for $2,000. But you're creating it's a hard asset. You can touch it. The reason why I love real estate, I can paint it, I can raise the rents, I can increase the bottom line of that particular asset. When you buy stock and the CEO screws up and the stock market tanks, what does it have to do with me? I lose all my control. So for me, that's why I love real estate. I can control it. But those little things about becoming the local expert, when I sell somebody like a $2 or $3 million home, you better believe after about 90 days to 120 days, I have a follow-up conversation with them that's just like, hey, I'm sure you guys are not looking to buy real estate, cash flow producing real estate, but we have a fourplex that just hit the market. It's cash flowing $1,600 a month. It's going to hit the market here pretty soon. Would you like to take a look at it? That now gives me a reason to call my client I just closed on a house for. Most people who have money like to make more. They like to invest more. Some people have always wanted to get to the point of real estate investing, but they don't have someone to help them. So when you become that trusted expert, now you're selling their friends' houses, you're selling their friends' income properties, you're now doing these deals together, you're doing syndications with them. You are solidifying yourself again as the local expert. Yeah. And it's not that hard. There are 10 million duplex, triplexes, and fourplex in this country. The commercial agents that do the big buildings and the office buildings and the giant multifamily stuff, they don't mess with the 2s, 3s, and 4s because they're too small. Residential specialists that don't have a lot of the 2s, 3s, and 4s within their market don't know anything about it, so they never learn. There is a tremendous opportunity for you to add 20, 30% to your business by just looking at those options. Yeah. And talking people from a condo to a duplex, very similar to what you did, because you only own the air inside the condo. That's all you own.
Yeah. So let's go. One other example too of how this influences and positively your personal brand, right? And I told you the story, and this again, thanks to you. Great shout out to a client of mine, Andres Bustamante in Austin, really into house hacking, 20-something years old, graduated from UT. When I got him as a client, he's calling FSBOs and expireds, hating life. And he buys his first home, house hacks it, rents it all out. And then I said, post what you did and how you did it on your Instagram. Tell me the numbers. Don't tell me that you did it. Tell me the numbers. Here's how much I paid. Here's what I did down. Here's what I'm renting the rooms for. I'm living for free. Numbers, numbers, numbers. From that one post, he got 4 appointments or something. He then sold a fourplex to a couple buddies who wanted to do something cool. Then we did the same thing. Post the numbers. Boom. Right now he's got 13 in escrow, guys, 6 months later. Right? What the value of learning the things. So you got to get Andy's book, geek out on a bunch of his stuff. But the value of you guys actually adding this into your arsenal is amazing, right?
And you start talking about it. You just start talking about it into your phone. Hey, what's happening, guys? We got some incredible stuff coming up. And you just start, you go. Here's a great example. So he was able to find some friends to buy a fourplex, right? I have helped small businesses, like 3 or 4 buddies. They get together, they want to start a company, they've got a startup, they're grinding and they're eating ramen, they're doing all the right things, but they're paying like $2,000 a month rent each. And it's like, no, pool it together, buy a 4-unit, right? Everybody lives in 2 units. You rent out the other 2 to dramatically soften the cost of the mortgage. You have like 4 one-car garages. Now that becomes your warehouse where you store your product. You're shipping and working everything from where you live. I've been teaching this stuff for 5 years. Dude. This is a no-brainer now that COVID's in place. Everybody should be doing this. So instead of spending $8,000 a month in rent, which is killing your cash as a new business, they're paying like $1,000 now. So now they have $4,000 a month going back into their business to help. Like, my friends, and you can do it on the beach. Like and now you don't have to have a place to live and an office and a warehouse. Like, that's the thing. Like, there's so many ways to do this. There's so many ways to win.
Yeah,
and it's amazing conversation.
I love that. One, I'm going to reiterate something you said, right? Which is, and I've asked my clients this, Andy, and I'd love to hear your riff on this. And I said, look, what would it take for you to go from you're a real estate sales agent to a real estate advisor? What's it going to take? Right? And they're like, what do you mean? Like, you're a salesperson right now. You're like, how do I help you buy a house? How do I get your listing? How do I sell a house? You're a salesperson, right? How do we get you over here to become an advisor, a real estate advisor to your friends, your family, your community, your past clients? When you're out in the marketplace talking to a cold internet lead, to a neighbor, how do we get you to become an advisor and stop being a salesperson? What would be the thing that I keep running into, Andy, is agents are a little lazy when it comes to the educational process, right? You and I are, we're nerds. Like, here's Bruce Norris's. I paid, I think I paid, $550 to be at that event, in which in 2017, he projected that there'd be 2% mortgage rates. That's interesting. How did I learn that, right? In 2017, and here we are. Right. But, I spent $550, to go to that event, to learn about real estate, learn about real estate investing deeper. There's so many resources today for this stuff. Andy, what's your recommendation for some of these guys who are like, I don't even know where to start? Besides your book, by the way, everyone should get it and just,
it's never been easier in the history of the world to get amazing education for a fraction of what it used to cost. I've spent hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars in masterminds and mentors and going to stuff because I am absolutely obsessed and completely addicted to growth and expansion of myself. As a husband, as a father, as a business leader, everything you can think of in my life, health, spiritual, I want to get there faster, and I want to get there with less speed bumps. So the only way I've learned in my 43 years is to pay somebody who's been through all those things before you. Yeah. And then I get to do them in a fraction of the time it took them for a lot less. Yeah. So I pay heavily for mentorship because it's amazing. I'm also very strategic in what goes in these ears and into my brain. If I'm in my car, 96% of the time, I'm listening to a podcast. The podcast could be on health. It could be on nutrition. It could be on business. I got a tax secret, unbelievable tax secret from this boring, nerdy podcast I was listening to. I called the bank because I was like, there's no way this is legal or true. It was, and it saved me a couple $1 million over the past 8 years. Wow. 7 years. It is incredible the stuff you can learn. So I'm strategic in what goes in. I spend a lot of time riding my bike. I go on these 3-hour training rides. I'll put a book on tape or an Audible book in my ears while I'm riding, or I'm at the treadmill. My friends, I have a podcast. I give away all my secrets for free. It's like a YouTube channel. If you want to learn, the only excuse there is you just don't want to, and you don't want to bad enough. The stuff that you can learn, if you just stayed with Patrick as your coach and you just stayed in the Tom Ferry ethos, and that's all you did for your whole career, you would have more information you would ever be able to implement.
Yeah, totally.
And the people are so kind and so giving. That's why I love this whole crew and this whole tribe, because I can pick up the phone and they will share industry secrets that are one city away, or some that are in my city. We just share. If you have questions, shoot me a DM. I'll answer them. We're all here to help. We're all here to help level up everybody's everything. And the reason why I love social media is because I get to show people that journey. People are voyeurs. People want to see that you're doing what you say. So I use my Instagram stories, my Facebook stories, Facebook Live, all that stuff to just let people know what I do. It's like Tom says all the time, whoever talks to the most people wins. That is real true. So I try to get there out as much as possible so people can just see what I'm about. They see that I'm a good dad. They see that I'm all about family. They see that I'm all about the local community. They see that I'm here to help and serve. So then they call.
Yep. Yep.
Use these social media platforms to just, and I know you're nervous and I know you're scared. I was too. But what's the what's the option? But the biggest thing for me is if you have kids or you're thinking about having kids, for me, it's legacy.
Yeah.
My kids will watch all those videos. They'll watch every podcast. They'll watch every YouTube video. My great, 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 great grandkids will watch everything. For me, that's so powerful that I get to share my life in this exact time during this pandemic, during this things. And it's going to be so fun in 100 years for them to be able to watch that stuff. So for me, I find it's a tremendous responsibility, and I'm adding value and I'm helping people. Like, why wouldn't you?
Yep. No, I love it. I love it. Yep. Beautiful. All right, man. So, I definitely want them checking you out and and I want them reading your book. I want them check out the podcast and, really just upping the game in this area of becoming a real estate advisor, adding real estate investing into the equation, supporting some of the young people, supporting, all of your client bases and all of the demographics. What, Andy, was so interesting, when I was studying real estate investing and then I started studying demographics, I was like, well, at every stage of life, there is a investment conversation, an investment education that should happen at every stage of their life. And, no one's giving it to them, right?
No one,
So
except invest in a mutual fund.
yeah, exactly. And so
That's what I was told at 19. So I did. I sit down with a financial advisor and he's like, when you turn 40, you're going to have like 3 million bucks in the bank. And I'm like, sweet. I don't know. I'm 19. I'm making a bunch of money. So that's what I did. And by the time I was, I don't know, 32, I had like 160,000 or something like that. Stock market had tanked twice. And I'm like, if somebody would have just told me to take that first 35 grand and buy a duplex when I was 19, I would have over $1 million in liquid cash right now, probably twice that. So there's no education in financial literacy. And it's sad. I was raised super poor by a single mom. We had nothing. I started working when I was 12. I got D's and F's in school. I'm not very smart, but what I do is I get around smart people and I learn quick and I stay humble and I stay coachable. Yeah. Like, you tell me to do something, I'll just do it. Like, I don't need to ask questions.
Right.
You're successful, I'll just do it, see what happens.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Get on the field, try it out, give the feedback and go from there.
Yeah.
No, I know, it's amazing. Yeah. So anyways, cool. All right. I think that's, listen, I don't think there's much more to say, right? I think people get what needs to happen here, right? It's significantly one of the best opportunities, I think, for us. Let's talk about personal brand for 1 second here, right?
Sure.
Because, I remember I'm super analytical, I'm a dork, right? But when I really study influence and I study brand and I study persuasion, and what every agent wants is that I want more people to call me, right? I want my friends to think that I'm the greatest real estate ever. And I'm like, well, how do we do that technically, right? And what I realized was there's this thing called the demonstration of higher value. And can you demonstrate that you have higher value than the average, which is what everybody's trying to, hey, what's the listing presentation thing that I should do so people would choose me over someone else? Really what you're saying is, how do I demonstrate more value than anyone else? Demonstration of higher value. I believe that to level up your personal brand and authority position to your community, adding more intelligent real estate investing information and opportunities is one of those plays, right? This is like, so like when I talk real estate investing with a bunch of my sphere, man, they see me no longer as sales guy. They see me now more as advisor, right? And I got, Andy knows, but it's just so present. Last week, I'm at the beach hanging with some friends, and one of my friends is like, hey man, I need to introduce you to my buddy whose dad and him own 400 properties in a property management business here in San Diego. You guys should talk. I'm like, thank you. But I earned that recommendation through the way that I speak about real estate to my community. I earned that recommendation, right? And that's part of now my personal brand to my community. What's your thoughts and riff on, growing and expanding and empowering your personal brand, leveraging real estate investing?
Yeah. So from like the most basic level, it's you show them. There's only one way to do that, and it's to show them over and over and over again, very similar to what Patrick did. Your friends will be voyeurs. They're going to consume your stuff in Facebook when they're at their office or they're like on their phones, and they'll see you doing more things that are at a higher level, asking sharper questions that a more higher level person would ask. But it can be as basic as a little block right in Facebook that said, do you know the difference in buying a home and buying a triplex for investing? ? And let people comment. Those people that comment, you can send them a private message or whatever. Or you put something in the mail like we do, like this, that just gives you all the stats, and it's fully branded to our team. It shows all of our past sales. Like, you can do small little cards and just let people know. And you could like huge, big, bold stuff in mailers that say, do you want to learn how to invest in real estate? Just ask a question, give me a call. It's just creating more questions and then showing people what you do. I use social media to just show people what I do for a living over and over and over. And there's people, it takes them 2 years of me seeing with my kids, doing everything. They're like, you know what? I think I'm going to call that guy. But it's like, I had to show them for 2 straight years that I physically do in my business what comes out of my mouth. A lot of people, especially on social media, are like, cool kitchens, like all this flashy stuff. I don't know anything about you personally except you take a good picture. Like, let people in. Tell them the bad days. You know how many times I've cried on social media? I'm just like, let people in. It creates a vulnerability bond. Like, when you're always perfect and everything's always great and you're like, sold property, $2 million, sold this, I'm the greatest. I guarantee if I go to your house, there's like 6 bottles of wine empty, and you're like, you know what I mean? Like, show people the whole thing because it brings you in. Show them those hard days where you're like, I just dropped my kids off at school. I'm super stressed out. I'm late for appointments. If I can help you sell real estate, give me a call. Like, you know what I mean? Like, those little things, they're kind of funny and they're kind of true. That's why those real estate memes do so well. Oh, yeah. They're true. Just let people in.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, we'll wrap this up, you guys. In the description below on YouTube, guys, I'll jump onto his links, grab the book, check out his podcast. Let's have some fun. He's in the Tom Ferry community, so he's around. So big shout out, Andy. Appreciate everything you've done, and that one presentation made a huge impact on my life and already many of the lives of my clients. So much appreciated, brother. And keep rocking. And then we will catch up soon.
Okay, cool, brother. There should be a link for a free book.
Cool.
I think on my website. So if you guys go to my website, and if you cannot find the link, shoot me a DM and I will shoot you the link for the free book.
Awesome. Love it, man. Appreciate it.
No worries.
All right. Thanks, everybody.